So last week I got hold of the latest bench press report, the one by the WOW company that they do, is it every year or several times a year, which I've got in front of me, and I just want to run a couple of bits by you that mostly I think the report, so it's focusing on new business, benchmarking agencies turning over $1 million plus across the board. You probably have insight into how many agencies get asked. I don't really.
A lot, I think, by all accounts.
Yeah. So, as I say, this report that came out last week is focusing on new biz, which is a combination of sales and marketing efforts in-house, or however you approach it. And a couple of bits stood out for me amongst lots of things that I think are kind of common sense or qualifying what we'd expect. So one of the slides, one of the points that it makes is kind of top channels that agencies plug into where they successfully find new clients. And then that question is broken down across basically any and all channels. And one that jumps out at me, whilst it doesn't have a big percentage in terms of people saying, yes, that channel works for us from a new biz perspective, it is, drum roll please, because I want to see the smile on your face when I say it, awards. So let me just find it on here to clarify. It's not a big percentage. I can't find it now. I think it was probably only about 5% or something. So it's small, and you'd almost say insignificant, but I'm really interested by that. And I'm really interested because I am biased with the information I have to hand, that I know where you stand on industry awards. So firstly, what's your reaction to the fact that it's included as, it was probably about midway in the table, granted next to it as a score it was a small percentage, but it was still there as a prominent channel, let's say, in terms of where other agencies get new clients from.
So how many choices were in there?
Just roughly speaking, I can't see the choices, and whether there's probably 12,
and that got 5%.
Something like that. I can't find it now. It's bloody in front of me, but say 5%. It was single digit percentage. Discuss.
I would put probably my opinion. I would probably place out of the whole mix, in general, less than 5% importance, I would argue. I would also speculate that within that 5% and the clients that are won from that process, that pool of clients that are coming out of that process as client wins or new biz are the same pool of people.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
In terms of clients, because there are people that still see the value in it. There is still value in it to an extent, but then there are 95% of people that don't see value in it, and that are savvy enough and educated enough to know how it works and to understand what it actually means.
Can we, I mean, it's hardly going behind the curtain or anything here, but you've just said how it works. Just in case the off chance someone is listening to this and they don't know how it works, what's your take on, there's no doubt there's a stigma in our world, both agency side and client side, around awards. And there's different ways we can look at awards, I think, but just generally speaking, how do they work from your unbiased, what's your opinion on awards, with giving a little bit more clarity in terms of how they typically work in our industry?
How they typically work? Well,
or don't work.
I mean, I can't throw all awards under the bus. I mean, like I say, they have their place and some of them do have their value. I've had many experiences, not naming names, whereby the biggest table and the most tickets purchased somehow coincidentally result in an award being won. That being said, there are some that I think are probably genuine, and I think it's getting a little bit better, to be fair, but it's just if you see value in it, then there's no harm in going after it.
How would you? This is quite interesting. I don't know whether it's happened my time at Flaunt yet, and it might have happened to you. So how would you deal with someone coming showing an interest in working with Flaunt, but stipulating that, being quite open about it and stipulating like where are your industry awards, where are your drum awards or whatever, search awards? How would you respond to that? Would you kind of question why? Would you question?
I mean, it would depend on the opportunity and the person asking, obviously, in terms of context, but I would probably look to dig into a little bit more behind why they felt that was important.
Yeah.
To the point of then making a call on whether they were the right fit for us to work with in the first place. If they're placing so much emphasis on something that, in my opinion, based on experience, is so superficial, then they're not probably the right fit.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I guess there's probably.
Put it this way: we're a service-based business that has a highly specialised team delivering highly specialised services, and clients come to us with budget, and that's a value exchange for that service.
Yeah.
The type of client that is so adamant that awards are important is not going to be worrying about the right kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think there's ever a part of someone client side thinking there's something in it for them to be associated with an award winning?
100%. There's clients, perhaps less so now, but that love being taken to a award ceremony and being made a fuss of by their agency.
Yeah.
It's madmen, isn't it?
Yeah. You mentioned that you think it's getting better, this whole stigma. What are you seeing, or what's giving you that?
I think agencies are learning to hold value on the services that they're delivering, first of all. And I think that is then driving them to not feel pressured to have the awards. I think 10 years ago, if you didn't have an award, you didn't feel like an agency, whereas now, if you don't have an award, or if you're at the other end of the spectrum like us, where we proudly say, look, we don't have awards, talk to us clients if you want to validate us.
Yeah.
It's a change in mindset. It's the same sort of conversation as when we were talking about agencies sticking up for their ideas.
Yeah.
It's that kind of, right, we are a team of specialists. This is the value we provide. This is how you validate it. You don't need this paperweight to tell you that we're a good agency.
Do you think there's any fear of missing out for not being involved and listed on, I'm going to use the same examples, the drums annual awards from a Flaunt perspective, an agency perspective?
I think there's, like I say, there's value in it. It just depends on how much value you're going to put on it. I put more value on people thinking that we're a good place to work than I do on industry awards.
Yeah.
That's the kind of attention that we're paying. We're not. It doesn't matter that awards aren't top of our agenda or even on our agenda.
No.
And like I say, if a client needs that form of validation, just talk to another one of our clients.
Yeah. There'll be plenty of agencies out there though that wouldn't be comfortable with that, and that makes me think that it adds to this stigma around awards. Don't have awards, but don't talk to any of our clients or people we've worked with, which is a whole different story. Do you think, from an awards perspective, we've talked about industry awards there, and what I think both of us mean, but what I particularly mean is the ones I've mentioned a couple of times. Do you think there are any that stand out and take your interest potentially in the future or whatever, or have you got a blanket thought on, I'm going to call them corporate awards here, i.e. not necessarily just industry, so marketing, drum, search awards? Are there any awards that you've got time for? that would be applicable to talk about now?
No.
Simple and effective.
No, I think one that I've considered is Campaign's Best Place to Work.
Right.
I think there's value in that because it's voted for by the staff and the team.
So people oriented.
Yeah, I think it's a reflection of something that we're passionate about. So maybe that one.
Yeah.
But in terms of like awards based on the work, no.
B Corp.
Yeah. B Corp is something that has come about recently internally at Flaunt because newsflash. Have we already newsflashed this?
We have now.
B Corp pending. Well, coming soon. I've seen a few of those. They've obviously gone through their B Corp B Corp Awards season fairly recently, so it's kind of hot off the press. They take my interest. And I think I've shared the same industry, the same mindset as you have, from previous places of work and seeing people going for awards that I haven't actually seen them hold the water as much as I think they cost, for example, and whatever. And I also think there's a lot of noise with many agencies now saying award winning as part of their their brand agency tagline, which is bollocks, because actually flipping that and not mentioning that and actually having a bit of a story like we have which directly attacks that almost, I think makes a better noise and a different noise. Actually, you're getting more cut through saying that you're not award winning and purposefully not award winning. However, the B Corp stuff is interesting to me.
But the B Corp, I know they do the awards, but it's not driven by that. It's mission led, it's values led, and it's actually purposeful. It's got an end goal, which is working towards making businesses more responsible in a broad spectrum, and I think it aligns with how we operate. Yeah.
Well, I think the B Corp thing, I'm starting to identify where we share. B Corp, I think, is a vehicle to very quickly identify shared values in someone else or in something else, i.e. company, brand to brand, B2B, whatever you want to call it. And I think that's why the awards, from my side of things, potentially stand out as an opportunity, or doing probably holding more weight to be proud of rather than a transaction, which is how I see a shiny drum award.
I think in 5 years the FTSE 250 won't work with agencies or suppliers that aren't B Corp.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, I think that's where it's going.
And is that based on?
It's corporate responsibility ultimately, and I think that's it's got to.
Shareholders are going to be pushing them.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing though, is it?
No, it's great.
Yeah.